You see, in a world that constantly praises the loudest voices and the flashiest lifestyles, there's something deeply admirable, almost sacred, about the man who doesn't need to shout to be heard. He doesn't chase attention. He doesn't need validation, because his habits speak louder than words. It starts with self-discipline, not the kind that burns hot and fades fast, but the quiet kind. The kind that shows up every morning, even when nobody's watching. He doesn't skip the hard things. He doesn't wait to feel motivated. He knows that real growth hides behind resistance, and he welcomes it. He works out, not to show off his body, but to protect it. He trains his mind, not to win arguments, but to stay calm when others lose control. He eats clean, sleeps deep, and chooses what nourishes him over what entertains him. And then there's integrity, not the kind you flaunt in speeches, but the kind that shows in the little decisions, the ones nobody ever sees. When he gives his word, he keeps it. When he makes a mistake, he owns it. He doesn't cut corners, even when he could get away with it. Because he knows that the foundation of a strong life isn't talent or charm, it's trust. Trust in yourself. Trust from others, trust built slowly and defended fiercely. He practices stillness, not laziness, not avoidance, but real stillness. He turns down the noise. He takes walks without music. He reflects. He listens. He knows that in the silence truth speaks, and because he's not afraid of being alone with his thoughts, he moves through life with clarity. Where others are reactive, he is deliberate. He speaks with intention. He doesn't interrupt to impress. He doesn't talk to fill silence. When he speaks, people listen because there's weight behind his words, not volume, weight. He doesn't gossip, he doesn't boast. He uplifts, informs, and challenges with honesty, not ego. He protects his peace, not by building walls, but by setting boundaries. He doesn't attend every argument he's invited to. He knows that some battles are better left unfought, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. He knows when to walk away, when to hold his ground, and when to stay silent. Because peace, to him, is not the absence of noise, it's the presence of inner calm in the middle of chaos, and that peace becomes his power. He values consistency over chaos. He doesn't ride emotional highs and lows. He's not addicted to drama or excitement. He's steady. He shows up, day after day, in the gym, at work, with his family. He builds routines that serve him. He keeps promises, especially the ones he makes to himself. And over time, that consistency turns into results. Real, lasting results that others envy, but rarely understand. He learns patience, not the weak kind, the strong kind, the kind that knows not everything good comes fast, the kind that plants seeds and waters them every day, even when there's no sign of growth. He's not desperate. He's not rushed. He trusts the process because he knows who he's becoming. He understands that overnight success is a myth, and real transformation takes time, failure, and persistence. He chooses respect over recognition. He doesn't beg for likes, followers, or approval. He doesn't chase applause. He commands quiet respect through his actions, through his presence, through his reliability. He may not be the loudest in the room, but people remember him because of how he made them feel safe, seen, grounded. He also embraces pain, not as punishment, but as a teacher. He doesn't numb it. He doesn't run. He leans in because he understands that pain has a purpose, that suffering can shape strength, that scars can be sacred, and every time he's knocked down, he learns, he adapts, he comes back wiser. He becomes a protector, not just of people, but of values. He stands up when it's easier to stay quiet. He defends those who can't defend themselves. He speaks truth, even when it's uncomfortable, Because he's not just living for himself, he's living as an example for his family, for his children, for the younger men watching how a real man moves through the world. He nurtures self-respect. He doesn't beg to be chosen. He doesn't shrink to fit in. He honors his standards, whether in relationships, work, or how he treats himself. He says no to what drains him and yes to what aligns with his values. He doesn't let people treat him like an option, because he's not one. He's a man who knows his worth, and he walks like it. He becomes a man of purpose, not just goals. Not just achievements, but purpose. He wakes up with something to fight for, something bigger than himself. And because of that, his steps are steady, his heart is full. And even when life hits hard, he doesn't lose himself. He remembers who he is, why he started, and where he's going. He builds habits that last, not trends, not hacks, not quick fixes, but timeless disciplines. He reads, he reflects, he grows, because he knows his mind is his greatest weapon. He invests in health, not just muscles and medicine, but movement, mindset, and meaning. He treats rest as recovery, not weakness, and understands that how he lives today, quietly, consistently, is how he builds a future filled with peace, strength, and freedom. So no, he's not the loudest. He's not always seen, but he's felt. And when you become this kind of man, a man of quiet power, solid habits, and deep purpose, you don't need to prove yourself. You just live, and the world feels it. Because in the end, the men who leave the biggest legacy aren't always the ones with the loudest lives. They're the ones who lived with intention, who stood for something when no one else would, who loved deeply, who built slowly, who healed quietly. They're the ones who became better husbands, better fathers, better leaders, not by shouting, but by showing up, not by pretending to be perfect, but by committing to growth. Every single day, and maybe, just maybe, you don't even realize you're already becoming that kind of man. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, each time you walk away from what's easy and lean into what's right, each time you rise after a failure, you're building something sacred. So keep going. Keep showing up, quietly, consistently, because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more solid men like you. And if you're a man over 50, maybe even 60, you might be thinking, is it too late for me to become that kind of man? Let me say this with every ounce of truth I have. It's never too late, because strength isn't found in how fast you run, but in whether you're still moving forward. It's not about lifting the heaviest weight. It's about lifting yourself, especially when no one else sees the effort it takes. You've lived, you've loved, you've lost, you've learned, and all of it, every scar, every win, every quiet moment of doubt has brought you to this point, not to give up, but to begin again, wiser, calmer, more grounded than ever before. The man who rebuilds himself at 60 high is 10 times stronger than the man who never had to, because it takes guts to rise later in life, to choose growth when comfort would be easier, to choose presence, patience, and purpose when the world tells you to slow down and fade away. But you're not here to fade. You're here to rise quietly, to become a living example that it's never too late to be solid, respected, powerful, in the kind of way that doesn't need to be explained, because it's felt. So whether you're 30, 50, or 70, if you're developing these habits, you're becoming one of the rare ones. Not perfect, not loud, just steady, just real. And the world needs more men like that, now more than ever.